Alright, so we're after the equation that characterizes the relationship between spending and income. And I know that that equation is going to be planned aggregate expenditures is equal to consumption, government spending, investment, and net exports. So I'm going to start with consumption. And I have all the information I need right here to get the consumption function. That is consumption as a function of income. Because I know when y is equal to 0, consumption is equal to 500. I'm just looking at the table right there. And I also know that the change in consumption over the change in income is equal to, along any 2 points, consumption is changing by 800 every time income changes by 1,000. So I know that the MPC is 0.8. So I know consumption is equal to 500 plus 0.8y. So I'm going to take that consumption function, I'm going to put it right in here, and then I'm going to add the other components of spending, which are autonomous to that. So I'm going to get planned aggregate expenditures are equal to consumption, 500 plus 0.8y, plus government spending, which is 200, plus investment, which is 150, plus net exports, which are negative 100. And I'm going to combine everything that's autonomous, put it in one place. So planned aggregate expenditures are 500, 700, 850 minus 100 is 750 plus 0.8y. Right. Now, I want to find the equilibrium level of output. And I know that in equilibrium, spending and income are the same. So that's income is output, remember. So income equals 750 plus 0.8y. I got a y here and a y here. I simply want to solve that equation for y. So I'm going to bring 0.8y over to the left-hand side by subtracting it from both sides. So that's equal to 750. Got a y here and a y here. I'm going to factor out this y. Y times 1 minus 0.8 is 750. I'm going to divide both sides by 1 minus 0.8. Whoops, sorry about that. So y is equal to 1 over 1 minus 0.8 times 750. Or y is equal to 5 times 750. So 5 times 7 is 35, and 5 times 5 is 25. So y is equal to 3,750. That's your equilibrium. Now you're asked to graph that, demonstrate the equilibrium graphically. So I'm going to do that right here. And put planned aggregate spending here. Make sure you label these axes. There's your 45-degree line. And there's planned aggregate expenditures. I'm going to have to erase some of this stuff just to give myself some room to work here. Okay, so my vertical intercept is 750. And the equilibrium is 3750. There you go. Right now you're asked to figure out how the equilibrium changes when you change government spending by 100. And so when I do that, that just means I'm going to add some autonomous spending. All of that autonomous spending is right there in that 750. So I'm going to add $100 in additional autonomous spending to that. So my new spending line is equal to 850 plus 0.8y. And once again, in equilibrium, that condition holds. Spending and income are the same, so income must be 850 plus 0.8y. Now I'm going to solve for y, just like I did previously. So y minus 0.8y is equal to 850 150. So y times 1 minus 0.8 is equal to 850. So y is equal to 1 over 1 minus 0.8 times 850, and that's equal to 4,250. That's your new equilibrium. Now you're asked to graph it and label the vertical intercept, and that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to erase some of this stuff. So let's get rid of this, give myself some room to work. Okay, and I'm going to put y here and planned aggregate expenditures here, being sure to label everything. There's my 45-degree line. Here's my initial spending line at an equilibrium. Vertical intercept was 750 and 3,750 was the initial equilibrium. Now I'm going to increase government spending. That shifts the vertical intercept up to 850. This is my new spending line. It has a new equilibrium. That's 4,250. And there you go. All right. Now this is the same type of question as before, only you don't have a table of data. You have everything given to you as an equation. So just like before, we're going to start with consumption. Consumption is 2,000 plus 0.8 times y minus net taxes. But I have net taxes right here, so I'm just going to take and stick it in there, right? Because net taxes actually goes right there. So I'm going to put 500 in there. So consumption is equal to 2,000 minus 0.8 times 500 plus 0.8 y. So now I'm going to combine these two terms. So consumption is 2,000 minus 400, or 1,600, plus 0.8 y. So that's the consumption as a function of income. So I know spending is consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. So I'm going to take consumption from that function, I'm going to stick it right there, and I'm going to throw all these other terms in there. So planned aggregate expenditures is equal to 1,600 plus 0.8y plus investment, which is 500, plus government spending, which is 800, plus net exports, which is negative 300. And again, I want to combine everything that's autonomous in one pile. So planned aggregate expenditures is equal to 16, 21, 29 minus 3 is 2,600 plus 0.8y. That's your equation for total spending. Now, you're asked to find again the equilibrium, and then you're going to graph it. So we know that in equilibrium, spending and income are the same. So income is 2,600 plus 0.8y. Now I'm going to combine those y's because I'm trying to solve for y. Y minus 0.8y is equal to 2,600. I'm going to factor this out. 1 minus 0.8 equals 2,600. And now I'm going to solve for y. Divide both sides by 1 minus 0.8. So y is equal to 1 over 1 minus 0.8 times 2,600. So y is equal to 5 times 2,600. So y is equal to 10,000 plus 3,000 is 13,000. So there's your equilibrium. Now we're going to graph it. And before I do that, I'm going to erase this to give myself some room to work with. Okay, and I want to set this up. I want to make sure I label everything. Got to label everything. So here's y, here's spending, here's your 45-degree line, here's your initial spending line, and that vertical intercept was 2,600 because when 0. That's what spending is. And here's your equilibrium, 13,000. So there's the equilibrium. All right, now I want to see how the equilibrium changes when I change government spending by 100. So again, government spending lives right in there. There's already some in there. I think it was 800. Now we're going to add another 100 to it. So my new spending line is going to be 2,600 plus the new spending, 100 plus 0.8y. Or my new spending line is going to be 2,700 plus 0.8y. Okay, and I also know that in equilibrium, this condition is true, so it must be the case that y in equilibrium is equal to 2,700 plus 0.8y. Now I'm going to solve for y. I got y's on both sides, so I'm going to minus 0.8y from each side. I get that. Now I'm going to factor out y. 0.8 equals 2,700. So y, divide both sides by 1 over 1 minus 0.8 is equal to that. So that's going to be 5 times 27 is going to be 10 plus 35. It's going to be 13,500. That's the equilibrium. Now it's asking you to graph it, so I'm going to erase this, give myself some room. Okay. And set my table up. There's y. There's planned aggregate expenditures. Here's my 45-degree line. My initial spending line had a vertical intercept of 2,600. And that gave me an equilibrium of 13,000. And I increased government spending by 100. That shifts the spending line up. This is the new spending line. It has a vertical intercept of 2,700. And an equilibrium where it crosses the 45-degree line. And that's 13,500. And there you go. I hope that helps.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.